Then, of course, we had the National Economic Suicide Note early this week, and I'll talk about it later, signed off by Labor and the Greens, the so-called safeguard mechanism. In other words, target coal and gas projects, the 215 biggest emitters of carbon dioxide, which the alarmists still want us to believe is a problem. The 215 biggest emitters, who are also the biggest employers, will have to slash emissions by nearly 5% each year. I'll look at this later in the program with Bob Catter, but this is right up until 2030. This is a carbon tax by stealth, which will drive up energy prices, destroy jobs and kill foreign investment. Now, Nick Jaws is the chief executive of Bowen Coking Coal, and he has rightly said that Labor was, quote, entering extremely dangerous and uncharted territory. Acknowledging that coal was Australia's largest export industry, Mr. Jaws argued, quote, global coal demand is at its highest level in history, and it's fanciful to think that reducing our high-quality exports in the face of record demand will do anything other than drive up energy and steel prices, create a net increase in global emissions, and destroy Australian jobs both in regions and in cities. I told you the Albanese government is in a whole heap of trouble. This, I'm telling you, is trouble with a capital T. The Whitehaven Coal Chief Executive Paul Flynn rightly says the Albanese government getting into bed with the Greens puts Australia at a significant competitive disadvantage and creates risks for energy security and for strategic partners, including Japan. Now, the dopes in government don't understand what Paul Flynn, the CEO and Managing Director of Whitehaven Coal, has said, that, quote, nearly 70% of Japan's thermal coal exports, that's the coal that generates electricity, nearly 70% of Japan's thermal coal exports come from Australia, imports come from Australia. So it exposes Japan to a material new risk in terms of the security of their energy supply. This is, as I say over and over again, a national economic suicide note. It is an odds-on bet that the deal with the Greens on this so-called safeguard mechanism will force up power prices, put domestic supply at risk, and business will be denied access to an affordable and reliable energy supply. Putting our energy and economic future in the hands of Chris Bowen is the new definition of insanity. Adam Bandt, the Greens leader, must be taken at his word when he said coal and gas had, quote, taken a huge hit. No, Mr. Bandt, you dope. The national economy and the well-being of all Australians has taken a huge hit thanks to your ideological stupidity. All we're doing is strengthening the economic hand of our potential adversaries, notably Russia. We'll be exporting our emissions to China because they'll continue to open up coal-fired power stations at a rate that dwarfs any contribution Australia could make to the environmental good. That is, if carbon dioxide is the problem, which I assert it is not. At least the new Premier of New South Wales, Chris Minns, seems to be saying he wants the nation's biggest coal-fired generator, Eraring, to stay open beyond the closure date of August 2025. But what madness, closing an energy supply stronghold without anything adequate to replace it.